December 5th, 1945. At the Naval Air Station in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the afternoon sun is bright and the Atlantic air is deceptively calm. 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers sit on the tarmac, their engines coughing to life in a synchronized roar. This is Flight 19. To the men on board, this is a milk run, a routine navigation exercise designated Navigation Problem Number 1. They are to fly east, conduct practice bombing runs over hens and chicken shawls, and return home before dusk. Leading the flight is Lieutenant Charles Taylor, an experienced combat pilot with over 2,500 flying hours. The other 4 pilots are trainees, but they aren't novices. They are capable airmen nearing the end of their instruction. At 2:10 p.m., the wheels leave the tarmac. 14 men rise into the blue. Within 90 minutes, they will vanish, not just from the radar, but from the known world. The trouble begins at 3:40 p.m. Radio operators at the base overhear a conversation between the pilots. Lieutenant Taylor isn't reporting a mechanical failure or an enemy engagement. He sounds confused. "I don't know where we are." Taylor's voice crackles over the radio. "We must have got lost after that last turn." Ground control attempts to contact the flight. When they finally reach Taylor, his report is chilling. Both of his compasses have failed. He describes the islands below as unrecognizable, even though he has flown these waters dozens of times. Then, Taylor utters the phrase that would birth a legend. "Everything is wrong. Even the ocean doesn't look as it should." As the sun begins to set, the weather turns. The calm Atlantic afternoon disappears, replaced by a churning squall. Flight 19 is now flying in total darkness, blinded by rain and buffeted by gale-force winds. The shore stations try to triangulate the flight's position. They suspect Taylor has mistaken the Florida Keys for the Bahamas. They urge him to fly west toward the sunset to hit the Florida mainland. But Taylor is gripped by a fatal geographic disorientation. He believes he is over the Gulf of Mexico, and that flying west will only take him further into the open ocean. He orders his flight to turn east, deep into the Atlantic. On the ground, the tension is suffocating. Operators listen as the signal grows weaker. They hear the trainees pleading with their leader to turn back around. One pilot is heard saying, "If we would just fly west, we would get home." But in the military hierarchy of 1945, the flight follows the leader. At 6:20 p.m., Taylor's final garbled message breaks through the static. "All planes close up tight. We'll have to ditch unless landfall. When the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together." Then silence. The Navy, it doesn't wait for morning. Within minutes of losing contact, a massive search and rescue operation is launched. Among the aircraft sent into the storm is a PBM Mariner, a massive flying boat carrying a crew of 13. It takes off at 7:27 p.m. It heads toward the last known coordinates of Flight 19. 20 minutes later, the Mariner disappears from radar. The tanker SS Gaines Mills reports seeing a fireball in the sky at the exact time and location the Mariner should have been. No wreckage is ever found. No bodies. No oil slick. In a single night, 6 planes and 27 men have been swallowed by the sea. The subsequent Navy investigation was massive, totaling over 500 pages. Their final verdict regarding Flight 19? Cause unknown. When the mother of Lieutenant Taylor protested the blaming of her son for the loss of the flight, the Navy changed the report to causes or reasons unknown. It was the perfect vacuum of information. And into that vacuum, the Bermuda Triangle was born. For decades, Flight 19 became the poster child for the supernatural. Books and films suggested everything from magnetic vortices to alien abductions. But as we look at the tragedy through the lens of modern science, the mystery begins to bleed into reality. First, the compasses. We now know that the Bermuda Triangle is one of the few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north line up, which can cause severe navigational errors if a pilot isn't prepared. Second, the PBM Mariner. The Mariner was notoriously nicknamed the Flying Gas Tank. It was prone to fuel leaks, and even a single spark, perhaps from a crewman's cigarette, could cause an immediate, catastrophic explosion. But what are the Avengers? In the decades since, dozens of wrecks have been found on the ocean floor, but none have been positively identified as the Lost Patrol. The Atlantic here drops into the Blake Plateau, where the depth plunges from a few hundred feet to thousands. The Gulf Stream, a powerful underwater river, flows through this region at speeds of up to 5 knots. Any debris from a ditching aircraft would have been carried miles away within hours. The story of Flight 19 isn't a story of portals or sea monsters. It is a story of human frailty, the rigidness of military command, and the terrifying scale of the wilderness. Lieutenant Taylor wasn't a victim of a curse. He was a man, tired and lost, struggling against a storm that didn't care about his rank. As we look out over the shifting blue waters of the Atlantic today, we are reminded that the ocean is the planet's greatest keeper of secrets. Flight 19 remains its most enduring ghost, a formation of 5 shadows, forever flying east into the dark, looking for a home they would never find. This has been a mystery of the missing Flight 19.